Hello, everybody. Welcome to the music rating, ranking, and reviewing podcast that we like to call Music Meltdown, in which we rate, rank, and review any artist discography, songs, or what have you in relation to music. Today, we're going back to the late 70s into the early 80s for one of the biggest new wave bands, The Police, featuring a heavy influence of punk, a little bit of reggae as well, having a really interesting sound, but not exactly a sterling discography from most. It's only 5 records, and they're all decently thought of. I have a feeling they're one of those bands that kind of get lumped in, like you just need greatest hits, and give or take it, somewhat. Regardless, it's only 5 albums. I got from the Phil Collins video, Sotavi, so anything smooth, I'm getting this man for. That being said, your familiarity with the Police's back catalog.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Happy to be here once again. Yeah, so I don't honestly totally remember when I found the Police, but I just remember from my childhood, we had like those DVD box sets of Friends, the TV series, and there's like an episode of Phoebe trying to get Sting tickets, and there was some like a gag or something about the Police, and which totally I was like I didn't get the joke at all because I didn't really knew the Police then, but I think my friend told me them, and yeah, oh yeah, I know the Every Breath You Take song thing. That's like everywhere, that song. And yeah, and maybe a couple of years ago I checked all these albums out, and yeah, I'm a fan of the Police, but for me, I think the early Sting solo albums might even top some of these records for me. I'm a big fan of them. And yeah.
That is interesting. Okay. I don't know much of Sting solo, so I can't comment too much. I heard one song because Spotify recommended it to me off one of his early ones. I can't remember. I think it was his 89 release or something, and I thought that was pretty good. I'm totally blanking the song, though. I'd have to look for it.
No idea what's in 89.
Yeah, but I was pretty familiar with the Police, probably more so than you would initially expect. I probably heard all these records at least like 3 times. And there's never a reason as to why I knew the Police so well or wanted to get into the Police. It's just they seem like a fun band. The hits are good. I might as well just give everything a spin. And I've now done that for each of these probably like 3 or 4 times. And that may have something to do with my ranking. That being said, however, going off of the Phil Collins list, you're here to kick us off. Go ahead with your number 5 whenever you're ready.
Yeah, cool. My number 5, so my least favorite The Police album is the debut Outlandos D'Amour. Yeah, I guess I screwed up with the least favorite because it is really least favorite. But yeah, just I think this is the most punk focused album they have. Really, their early albums are some sort of punk influenced, and I think it was probably very unique at the time of like this mixture of punk and reggae and pop and new wave, and I do think it's a good album still, while I have it at the last spot. I think it starts like the first three are like probably one of the most well known from this album, and like So Lonely is more reggae, but it has still this rocking edge, and the chorus is just basically saying the title over and over again. And, it has a classic guitar solo by Andy, and Roxanne is a big hit. It's very catchy. I like it. How in My Life is a bit more like it feels a bit too long for me. It's under 5 minutes still, but like it's a bit repetitive, I guess. And Peanuts is kind of crazy. It's kind of fun. It's like this saxophone solo also, and Can't Stand Losing You is has a more dark lyrical thing going for, and it's still reggae, and it's I don't know what, there's always been something that's kind of keeping me from the song. I don't know, is it the melody or something? Like I think it's definitely good, but like out of these big hits from this album, it's probably my least favorite. Truth Hits Everybody is cool. I like the verses. They're kind of Sting sings more low key in those verses, and Be My Girl Sally is an odd song. It could be my least favorite The Police song, honestly, because I don't really enjoy the spoken word. Like, I don't know, does it fit really? And perhaps Roxy Music did it better like that. But I don't think neither are like really that great. But honestly, my favorite song is The Closer. I think that's just a cool instrumental, and it ends the album well. And like I like pretty much most of these songs, but it's still a bit inconsistent, and I don't really go also back to this album as much as the other ones, but yeah, it's still a good album. So number 5, the debut.
Okay. I agree. It's fairly inconsistent. First half definitely better than the second half, but not my bottom. Bottom for me, I know that this is kind of contentious with some people. I used to like this record way more than I do, but it's definitely gone down on repeated listenings. It's Regatta De Blanc. This is a weird step down from the debut for me. They dropped most of their punk influence and have further embraced reggae and did a lot more jamming on this record. And it's just typically not very interesting, in my opinion. There's obviously some good songs, though. Message in a Bottle's amazing. Bring on the Night's pretty cool. And Does Everybody Stare is solid. Despite that, there are very bad tracks on this record. Most notably on Any Other Day is really bad. It's just not a very interesting record, in my opinion. And it really lacks any reason for me to go to it over the debut or the follow-up. 2.5 stars for me. It's okay.
Cool. I'm gonna keep talking about it because it's my number 4. I guess this album has even more reggae than the first one. It's like you said, they lose a lot of their punky influence from the first one, and but like the highlights are really great in this album. Like they're pretty much the songs that Sting wrote himself are my highlights. Like A Message in a Bottle is just I think it's a pretty much all-time song for me, and just great drums from Stuart, and it's very catchy. And I don't know. I personally like the Police jamming. I think it's very cool. Like in the title track, it's like this instrumental, and like Copeland does this very rapid fire, like a snare. He hits the rim of the snare, and it's just so cool. And they just, I guess that's the jamming song of this album. And Bring On the Night is love the melody of it. It's like a cool, this very good vibe reggae song, and great vocals. Then yeah, I agree, like On Any Other Day isn't very very good. Like I think Stuart sings that song. Like it's not Sting, or maybe it has a little Sting part to it, but like it's mostly Stuart Copeland. And The Bed's Too Big Without You is just has this like a almost feel good guitar riff to it. It's a nice vibe. And like I guess I'm not the biggest fan of punk and like even punk of the Police, but I think I really enjoy like the Closure, No Time This Time. It has this, it starts with these cool snare rolls, I think they are, and it's fast and punky and just very cool, and Sting's vocals are just furious in that song. So yeah, I do like this. I think it's a very good album, and I gave it 4 stars.
Okay. I mean, I get it. I do like when the Police jam. It's just I don't think that these are their most interesting jams, personally. Next up, kind of the consensus pick for the bottom, I would guess, from a lot of people. I'm going Zenyatta Mondatta. This is a pretty big step up from the debut to me. I mean, not the debut. This is a pretty big step up from Regatta De Blanc. They're still doing a little bit of jamming across this record, but the songs themselves feel a bit more fully formed, stronger choruses and hooks overall. I feel like the songs here are just more likely to stick with you in comparison to on Regatta De Blanc. Stuff like Don't Stand So Close to Me and Driven to Tears are great. Voices Inside My Head is nice. And I love how it ends, because it ends on, I believe, The Other Way of Stopping and Shadows in the Rain, which are both more instrumentally led jams. I think that they're both really strong. I think that this is a good record. It's just not necessarily the most remarkable in the world. Like I could just take the best songs that I have from it and kind of be satisfied. But overall, I do enjoy it when it's on. 3.5 stars. It's a good record.
Cool. I think my number 3 is an album that like I think it's flawed, but it's still somehow always like somehow is a bad word, but like because I like it, but it's usually like in the sometimes number 1, and it's sometimes in like a top 500 best albums list. My number 3, which is Synchronicity, the last one. I think I kind of think most people remember the big singles from this, and like I think it starts ends very well. So, but like perhaps it's the most important after the debut, maybe the Police album there is, but like I think I do think it's perhaps the best sounding Police album they have, and they were really experimenting hard in the first side of this album. I think side 2 is more pop but awesome 80s pop, and definitely needs I think changing the song placements would really help this album, because yeah, I think the start is the problem mostly. Like not Synchronicity one, that is a cool, it just comes at you and it's very, very energetic. But like but then second song is Walking in Your Footsteps. It's kind of odd. It kind of thanks the energy of the opener. It has like this world music vibe, I guess, a little. And then like perhaps the most controversial song is The Mother. It's like it's so different from the other songs. It's kind of odd, but like I think Andy screams so much also. It's but like I kind of enjoy the instrumental behind it. I think it's very cool, but it's a tough listen and it's hard to place on this album. But like Miss Kradenko is pretty catchy. I like it's a short song, and Synchronicity 2 just sounds very big and the guitar riff is strong. And then side 2 starts with Every Breath You Take. I think everyone knows the song. And it's kind of odd because I almost doesn't feel like when I think of The Police. Like I know it's the big hit and that song comes from it, from being a big hit, but like it almost doesn't. When I usually think of The Police, I usually think like this more reggae vibe, and like I almost think this sounds more to the Sting solo stuff more. While obviously it has Andy and Stewart, and they're definitely great players. King of Pain, love the drums, very exciting song. Tea in the Sahara, I always think of that as the closure of the album. I think Murder by Numbers is more of a bonus track for me. I think it's a fitting closure because it's more jazzy and it kind of, I think Sting will do more of this type of songs in his solo career. It's like a nice way to end The Police kind of. Then my favorite The Police song is probably Wrapped Around Your Finger. It's a very dynamic song. Just very catchy, and love when like Stewart comes later in the song very big way with just a simple snare hit and just builds up. Yeah. I think side 1 has at least 2 clunkers that kind of, it's very like a, I don't know what's the word, but like a it's not a very consistent listen from the start, but when it hits hard. And I have this at 4 stars. Synchronicity.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a weird record. And I'm not even necessarily sure that the track listing is the issue with it. The issue is just Mother. Like everything wrong with that record is Mother. The rest of it's fine. The rest of the running order is fine. If you just put Murdered by Numbers in place of Mother, it's an incredibly better record. And it's just without one switch that it changes the whole thing. My number 3, though, I'm talking about Outlandos D'Amour. It's a very strange debut, different from the rest of the Police's catalog. Has the most overt punk influence on tracks like Next to You, Peanuts, and Truth Hits Everybody. It's very upfront and it's great. Despite that, this is fairly firmly a new wave with their slight splashes of reggae, which is heavy on the highlight of the record for me, So Lonely, which has my favorite jamming that the band would ever do. Can't Stand Losing You is my favorite song here, and it's a great blend of the different styles they were working with across the record. There is a pretty notable weak spot after Truth Hits Everybody, though, with two other weaker songs. I don't hate Be My Girl Sally, but it just doesn't fit. Despite that, I give this one a low 4 stars. The highs are incredibly high, but there are some notable faults in the record.
Yeah, like was the last one also 4 stars for you?
Zenyatta Mondatta was 3.5. I'm at 4 now.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but still 4 stars. That's very good, very good. My number 2, I did a little switcheroo because I used to have this as my number 1, and in a way I think my number 2 is in some ways a better record. I think number 1 is more like just favorite to me, but like my number 2 is Ghost in the Machine, and it just starts very well. Spirits in the material world. Love the like I don't know, is icy the right word, but the synths very like cold sounding also almost, and they just hit you in the face. And but obviously the chorus is very catchy. Every little thing she does is magic, is super catchy, very enjoyable. This album's biggest hit also. I almost think Invisible Sun is a weird single for them. It was the first single released. I'm surprised they didn't do every little thing as the first one, but it's moody. I don't know, this might be a little controversial, but I'm not the biggest fan of that song. I do like it, but it's not something I listen separately. It's always in the part of the album. And Hungry for You brings saxophone again, and from like Peanuts, Sting himself plays it, and it's a fun track. Demolition Man is the longest Police song there is, and Rehumanize Yourself is like it kind of brings the punk aspect back. I don't know is punk right word, but it's more furious. And One World Not Three is not the best song there is, but the outro is cool with like Stewart's drum acrobatics. And Omega Man should have been a single. I think that's just such a great song, perhaps the best Andy Summers song by the Police. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but like I'm pretty sure that should have been a single, but I think Sting was against it. I don't know why that should have been, in my opinion. But and Darkness is also a cool song. I don't know, is it possibly also best song that Copeland did? I'm gonna give a little shout out to Clay. I think it's his favorite Police song. It's definitely a cool choice. I'd give him that. Like the piano, and it has like this open space to the song. They're kind of experimenting with sounds a little in the background. Yeah, cool closer. Yeah, I think the start and the end are the best parts. Like in the middle, there's a little couple of songs that I do like, but like it's not the best there is also. Yeah, Ghost in the Machine is my number 2.
Okay,
sorry, 4.5 stars still. I forgot to say.
That makes sense. Yeah, I had that pegged for your number 1 pretty much pretty much right after you said Synchronicity, I was like, yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for better or worse, you share a number one with Pete Pardo. So, yeah, weird. Number two, I agree. Ghost in the Machine. It's very close, but I think that this is just barely my runner-up. This record has a couple of duds. Hungry for You's okay. Too much information and One World as well. Despite that, the high highs are just utterly fantastic. Every little thing she does is magic. Probably their best song, like just incredibly infectious. Just that chorus is pretty much unparalleled in this entire discography, even on the hits on Synchronicity. Invisible Sun's really fun. Demolition Man as well, really fun. And I think Omega Man's amazing. And as an overall listen, I feel like all of my top three, I think that they're very flawed records. But I feel like this is their best artistic statement. However, they're a pop band, so I don't care about that. This is a low 4 stars for me as well. Really tight. This whole top three I could see flipping around just on the turn of a dial, but for now, this is my number two.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, my number one is perhaps a bit odd choice, but it's the Zenyatta Mondatta album from 1980. I think it's odd choice because it kind of also feels a bit rushed, and like I know they did it pretty quickly, but like and I guess they were a bit transitioning from, like, they kind of dropped the reggae part also, in like not completely obviously, but like and also obviously the punk aspect is pretty much gone, but they kind of bring this like I guess it's even more new wave, and perhaps they bring a little like ska influences, and I don't know, is it dub or what is it, but yeah, like I like every song on this album. Like Don't Stand So Close to Me is the opener, the hit of the album, and it has like this kind of also what I think of the Police, of the like perhaps a bit dark lyrics, but like then the chorus is just very upbeat and happy sounding, and that just is basically Don't Stand So Close to Me. And Driven to Tears is a cool song. Great drums, all the drum fills that Stuart does, very great. And I like the short solo that Andy does. It's almost kind of odd, and but definitely sweet. And the outro is just so much fun of them just playing their instruments very well. And When the World is Running Down is, I like the groove of the song, but then it's just there's like this fun little pop songs like Canary in a Coal Mine. I guess that's like a ska influence probably there. There's so much joy in that song, and it's kind of cute, honestly. Voices Inside My Head is very cool also. It has this like a hypnotic groove to it, and I think the aspect that we haven't talked about this in this video is Sting's bass playing. I think it shines on some of these songs very well. I think he's kind of a underrated bassist. I think usually when we talk about Sting, it's the songwriting or his vocals. But yeah, just a cool song. Bob's Away isn't one of my top favorites of the album, but the guitar solo that is so cool. The other hit is di do 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 di da da da. I think it's pretty funny title and very catchy, obviously. And Behind My Camel is instrumental. It's very cool. I used to think it's kind of filler. But I don't know. Nowadays, I just find it kind of hypnotic, and it has a cool atmosphere to it. I don't know. Is it worthy of winning the Grammy Instrumental Award? Because Rush was nominated with YYT. But yeah, still a very cool song. Man in a Suitcase is like another short and sweet song, and the last two are instrumentals, and Shadows in the Rain especially is just full of atmosphere to it. And yeah, in a way I think this is more flawed than Ghost in the Machine, but like it's just kind of it's a good vibe to it. It's like a very enjoyable to listen to, and they're always being kind of close to each other, but like I don't know, I just had a really great time with Zenyatta Mondatta, and I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars still. But yeah, I think the Police is a bit inconsistent, their albums, but yeah, but I also need more than Greatest Hits. Maybe Greatest Hits and Deep Cuts, like the best Deep Cuts would be fine, but like yeah, cool album.
For sure. I do like that one. I think it's kind of unfairly tossed aside by some fans of the group, but I mean, I get why it falls lower. I want to say I didn't expect this to be my number one at all. Not Zenyatta Mondatta, what I'm about to talk about. This pretty much always floated around 3 or 4 to me. And the notable glaring flaw. I've been showing the CDs, but let's pull this out. Number 1 is Synchronicity for me. Definitely not what I expected. I wasn't a big fan of this record for a while, but it really clicked with me when I listen now. I gotta point out one thing because I already did it before. Mother is just absolutely horrible. It's a really terrible take on like an avant-garde or experimental pop number. It's just really bad. I like a lot of that stuff, and I just think that this is pretty dreadful. As well as the sequencing is pretty weird. It lacks much of any unity track to track, but it's hard to deny this record just for the highs of highs. It's clearly their best, in my opinion. Both of the title tracks are amazing. I really like Walking in Your Footsteps. I think it works really good in the 2-hole. Every Breath You Take is amazing. King of Pain is, if not Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, that's my favorite Police song. For me, this is just a stacked record, especially on that side too. And despite all of its fundamental flaws, I feel like if I'm going to sit down and listen to any Police record, it probably will be that one. Just like I was saying earlier, swap out Murdered by Numbers from Mother, then you probably have a 4.5-star record, in my opinion. But as it stands, it's another low 4. It's a quite good record. Just simply, for me, not necessarily anywhere near great. That's kind of the best way to describe the Police for me. I think that they're a very good band that have a lot of potential, but maybe we're a little wrapped up in being successful and just didn't put enough care into the actual album craft. This is maybe how I would best describe this group.
Yeah, I also kind of think like I don't know how intentional was it, but almost feel like maybe I'm a bit biased also, but almost feel like Sting kind of has like that trying to get a perfect album, but then there's like these very odd Andy songs sometimes, and even Stewart kind of writes kind of odd offbeat songs. So that was a bit biased of me, but yeah, I pretty much obviously love this as a players. Stuart Copeland is one of my favorite drummers of all time. Just it's kind of when I think of the Police, I think the drums are one of the first things that also comes in my mind. They're so driving, that band almost, and those songs, very very drum heavy band. But yeah, just a cool band, and just odd. It's very odd because they were one of the biggest bands when Synchronicity came, and then they just obviously did the huge tour, but then they just kind of quit. Obviously, they were fighting a lot.
Yep. I read there have been multiple attempts to try and make a sixth record, but they're just unfortunate circumstance. I think there actually was going to be a sixth one. I was reading this on Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. They had the efforts, they were getting along at least decently, and they were going to make it. But then Copeland, I think, got an injury or something, and Sting just decided to go along and do solo work again, which maybe it's good.
Yeah.
You appear to be a fan of Sting solos, so I can't fault it too much. But yeah, it definitely. I gotta agree with what you were saying earlier. I think that Copeland and Andy Summers, I think that they're incredible players. Maybe not one for writers, though. I feel like things would have been better if Sting was able to take a bit more control, which I think he was trying to, especially on Synchronicity. I feel like if they could have made one more record, it probably would have been their best, because I think that they were actively getting better towards the end of their career. It's just there were some slight missteps. Stuff like Mother and some of the other miscellaneous cuts. They bogged down the records. And it's a shame, because I think that Sting is a very good pop songwriter. It's just, given the band he was in, they weren't able to be as pop forward as I think Sting maybe wanted them to be towards the end of things.
Yeah. But it's also Ghost in the Machine probably has the best Summers and Copeland songs for me.
Probably.
But some of the problems are the Sting songs in the middle.
Yeah, he goes a little overboard sometimes too, I won't lie. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's good and there's bad in the catalog, and what can you do?
Yeah.
Police are a hard band for me to judge where they would be overall. It's for the best of their songs, they could be a top 20 artists. I think that their best songs are some of the best of the decade, but they have some low lows, and they don't really have a record that pushes them into an upper echelon for me,
Yeah.
I'd say they're just a good band, a B tier rock band for me.
Yeah, but I know they had the very successful reunion tour.
Yeah.
But if the Police would reunite, I would love to see them live. They're
for sure.
So killer players.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, there's not a 5-star. I gotta a top album. They don't have that, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's hard to make a great record. So unless you're fucking Sam Cooke, and I was throwing around 4.5s like candy just before this. So with that being said, though, it was great having you on. But next time,
Thank you.
This is an episode I recorded I think month and a half ago at this point. We're going to be tackling discography of the Small Faces and the Faces, tackling a 2-for-1 deal in that one. I have a good buddy Harvey, big 60s dude, big Rod Stewart fan, to talk about these records. It's about 9 overall. It's they exist. That's the best way I can put it. That being said, I hope that you enjoyed our discussion upon the music of the Police. If you have any opinions of your own, any rankings, any big disagreements with us, feel free to put them in the comments. And as well, there's a link to the community Discord server in the description box below, and the upcoming schedule. If you go into there, you'll be able to see everything that I plan on doing up until June of next year. And really hope that you stop by, meet some cool people, have some great times. That being said, though, this was the police, and I hope you have a great one. Bye.